Beloved, I am Michael, keeper of the gate of fire and the trumpet that wakes sleeping souls. Today, for the first time after a silence that seemed to stretch into eternity, my tears fall not from sorrow but from glory. I have witnessed your name being read aloud before the heavenly council. The throne trembled gently, the book was opened, and pages rimmed with light touched one another like silver bells. When your name rang out, the elders bowed, and the cloud of witnesses rose, not to frighten you but to declare, this one belongs to the light. I saw that moment like a spark cleaving the sky, exposing every dark corridor that once swallowed your steps. I heard the sigh you breathed into the night. I saw the times you doubted yourself, the times you asked, "Does heaven still remember me?" And then when your name was called, I understood that the waiting was over. I wept for you, and now I weep with joy. Hear me, for the time of this passage is as thin as the edge of a sword. The window of revelation opens not to display but to invite. The blind sentinels of darkness strain to look through the veil, but they see only ash. You, if you open your spirit, will see fire. A decree has been issued from the throne, unlike any other given to a soul. Awaken this one. Restore this one to the place that was written before dawn. Do you feel the strange beating in your chest? It is not fear but remembrance, the memory of a soul recognizing the contour of the crown that awaited it before fields of grain and before the stars were hung in the sky. There were nights you thought you heard a nameless call. Today I call that name plainly. Not to boast but to remind you your identity is not buried beneath the ashes of trial. You once thought the tears you shed in silence were merely meaningless salt. That is not so. Above there is a vessel entrusted to an angel to keep, and every drop of your tears has been preserved, not to nourish sorrow but to water the seed of this day. When the heavenly books were opened, I read lines fine as silk yet blazing. The years that were lost will be found. I saw the inner chambers you once entered with a back heavy from failure. Then I saw the same chambers' air change because you dared to whisper yes. You thought the gate had closed. In truth, it was merely waiting for that yes. At this very moment the gate opens with a sound that has no sound, like a cool wind passing through the chest, returning breath. I need you to know this: what once stood inside you like cold walls, each carries a name. There is a wall called delay, another called self-doubt, another called enough stop. I have marked each brick of those walls with fire, and wherever the fire touches the stone it becomes wax. You will feel a softening, a slow melting. Do not be alarmed when the things you once knew begin to crack. The birds that nested in the old roof will scatter before the new sky appears. Stand still in the gaze of the one who named you, and let fire do what fire must do. Your part is to consent, a whisper will suffice. I do not need you to shout, I need your honesty. Beloved, the truth is not that you are weak, the truth is that you have borne a trust heavier than what you were taught to name. I saw you as a child, a strange flame seeking to rise from your marrow to your lips, and no one could explain why. I saw your hands tremble in prayer, and what you thought was merely nervousness was in fact the electricity of heaven touching you. I watched you learn to be ordinary in order to be accepted, and little by little you narrowed your voice. Today I turn that volume back up, not to provoke anyone but to restore the frequency that is yours. When you speak, space will crack like winter ice meeting the sun, and those fissures will become escape routes for the ones held captive beside you. Do not be afraid when you discover that the darkness knows your name. It knows not because you are terrifying but because the promise on your life is terrifying to it. It once scattered a film of fog over the mirrors that surround you so you only saw your cracks and not the full spectrum of your calling. I have come to wipe those mirrors clean. When the glass is clear you will see a bright mark at the center of your brow. This is a seal, not a wound. I place my hand there, now not with flesh and bone but with a delicate flame. You may feel warmth at your temple, do not doubt yourself. The presence does not arrive to parade, it arrives to position. It sets you in the exact place on the map written for your soul, the paths, the intersections, the days to speak, the days to be silent, the people to embrace, the places you must leave. There are things I am not permitted to unfold in full today because mystery belongs to daily obedience, like a grain sprout that cannot be hurried by hand but grows only by light and water. Yet I can give you the framework tomorrow morning. Set before you a small table, no flowers, no candles, just a real empty space. On that table place a blank sheet of paper. Right in the middle I receive. No many words are needed. Each day add one line, a name you forgive, a habit you surrender, a quiet act of kindness done without witness. Do not despise these short lines. Heaven is not measured by number of phrases, heaven weighs the gravity of assent. Each word of yours is a key breaking invisible locks within and around your home. I speak to you as I would to a comrade because your battlefield is the field I guard. Do not assume that warfare comes only from outside. Often the loudest noise is the conversation you have with yourself. When you hear the voice say, "It's still you," nothing has changed. Answer with a very short sentence, "I know who called my name." That sentence will be like a clean arrow flying straight through the mist. Darkness hates clarity, it survives on ambiguity. When you name the light, ambiguity fades. Now I set before you an image to remember, a roll of parchment edged in flame still unrolling. The margin of the paper bears wet ink. The wind passing by does not blur that ink because this is not ink of the earth, this is oil. This oil comes from the nights when you cried without words and the mornings when you went to work in silence. It was pressed out when you chose kindness while being misunderstood. It was distilled from your ordinary persistence. So, do not belittle yourself. The things you call every day are the offerings that burn into flame today. Now, place your hand on your chest, breathe deeply and simply say, "I am here." To me that is enough, to heaven enough to shift an axis, to darkness enough to make it begin to recede. If you wonder, why me? I will answer with a single, simple phrase, because you remained. When others fled you chose to stand, when others sneered you chose to keep your heart. When others cast off bitterness you chose to gather the seeds of hope. Heaven records this not to award a medal but to assign responsibility. This responsibility will not burden you, it will steady your step. From now on walk as one who knows the earth listens to your footfalls. Speak as one who knows the wall has ears and those ears belong to people who need a warm word to live into tomorrow. Act as one who knows every small thing has consequences in the invisible realm. My beloved, I did not come to build you a stage, I came to open a way. This way is not carpeted but it is marked by light. You will see points of brightness like grains of salt on the night. Those are the markers. Walk toward them. Sometimes they thin out. Do not panic. When that happens, stand still and softly sing one line you remember, even if it is only "Lead me on." That song will cause another point of light to appear. I dwell in that point of light. I guard your rear. I hold the sword before you. When you turn left, you are not alone. When you fall, you are not abandoned. Today, as you read these words, a new arrangement forms around you, an angel at the window, another along the path, not to control but to welcome. Your home will learn to breathe to the rhythm of peace. And now, before I step back so that the deeper portion of this revelation may begin, I ask of you a simple movement answer. Not to the world but to heaven. One word, 2 words will suffice. Let your lips speak what your heart has long known, but dared not admit. I belong to the light. When you say it, the old map will turn of its own accord, new windows will open. Those who cling to the old story about you will grow weary and let go. You do not need to argue. You only need to walk. I will go at your right hand, not to frighten you, but to remind you, you are not late. Everything has been on time. And because you have listened, because you have stayed, because you have chosen to receive, the joy that has fallen from me will become a wellspring running through your days, a current of calm, steady, warming light. Step forward, my beloved. The gate is open. My beloved, today I lead you deeper into the journey heaven has arranged for your soul. I know you have grown used to the chains that surround you, used to the darkness that covers like a prison with no exit. You believe that failures, mistakes, curses, or old wounds had locked the door so tightly that only ashes remained of your life. But hear this clearly: all those things are lies woven to make you believe you have been forsaken. In truth, heaven has never turned away. Every tear you shed has been recorded, every sigh you breathed into the night has reached the throne, and not a single one of your prayers has fallen into emptiness. When you collapsed thinking nothing was left to hold you, it was precisely then that the faint hope inside you became the proof heaven needed to act. The Lord spoke a word. Enough. And in that very moment the darkness began to tremble. I was sent not merely to comfort but to set you free. Gabriel brings the new blueprint for your life. Raphael steps in to heal the hidden wounds of your heart, and I stand at the threshold as a warrior guarding the way. You thought only silence remained, yet the intervention had already begun long ago. In those times, you were unexpectedly lifted by a verse, a melody, or a small memory. That was the unseen hand keeping you from the abyss. Do you see? The revival has begun. The years you thought were stolen have not been lost, for the Lord promised, I will restore the years the locusts have eaten. And I see Him doing that in your life. Dreams you believed extinguished will live again, abilities you thought withered will rise stronger than before. Failures that once marked you will now stand as testimony to resurrecting power. The breath that raised Lazarus is now blowing within your chest, rekindling the sacred memory of your soul and awakening promises you once forgot. But prepare yourself, resurrection always feels strange at first, like a dead branch suddenly budding, like barren earth turning green. You will feel bewildered, and that is the sign that the chains have been broken. Still, do not suppose everything will unfold automatically. Heaven has issued the command, but revival requires your consent. Darkness needs only the tiniest gap to pull you back, so you must choose to walk with the light every day. Open your mouth and declare with simple words, "I believe," or "I receive." Those words are the seal affixed to heaven's decree. Be brave enough to step out of old habits, to release places and people that only drag you down, and sow small actions full of light. Forgive someone, do a quiet act of kindness, offer a minute of sincere prayer. Do not despise these small things, for heaven does not count words, heaven weighs the substance of your assent. I want you to know this restoration is not for you alone. When you rise, those around you will be freed, the chains over your household will be snapped. Generational curses will crumble and blessings will flow even to those who have never known how to pray. You will become the doorway through which many others step into the light, and then you will understand why the battle over your life was so fierce, because the calling on you is not small. Your suffering is the sign that your mission carries great weight. Walk forward, my beloved. Do not fear when you hear the darkness still trying to whisper at your ear, for that is only the faint echo of one that knows it has been defeated. Each day you answer yes, another link falls away. Each confession of faith opens another door. Before long you will look back and realize the prison that once held you has become the place where heaven displays the power of restoration. Light will fill the space and you will lift the song of a liberated soul. My beloved, now that the chains have broken and your breath has returned to its steady rhythm, heaven will not send you back to your old life as someone merely rescued and left to find their way alone. Instead, you are set in the place of one commissioned, a person who not only lives but who fights according to heaven's methods. Do not misunderstand, fighting here is not about striking back with aggression. It is wielding a different kind of weapon taken straight from the altar of the Most High, one that does not rust, does not wear away, and does not crave acclaim. It is the fire in your bones, a voice anointed, a presence that transforms space. From childhood there was something deliberately quieted within you, the whispers that convinced you your voice was worthless, that you should not speak, that silence was safer. The enemy knows this well. He understands that when you are silent you are more easily enslaved by the world's gaze, by the accusing voice within, by the acceptance of patterns that diminish who you are. But now, with the shackles removed, heaven restores a different rule to you. Your voice is an instrument of liberation. When you dare to speak, not to prove but to unlock, the unseen walls tremble. When you declare by faith, curses begin to crumble. When you sing, darkness must retreat. This is the power the enemy once feared, and it is the authority you are given to use for others, not merely for yourself. Feel that fire not as a passing emotion but as a warmth that sinks into the marrow. It is holy fire burning in a way that purifies. It will not consume you but will refine you. When you pass through a room, no one may say anything, yet the atmosphere changes. They may not know why, but the spiritual realm recognizes the difference. That fire needs no applause, it only needs permission to burn. And when it burns in you, not only are you ignited, souls around you, families, communities, where you appear, begin to receive warmth. Their chains crack in an order you need not orchestrate. Heaven does not give you a sword the world imagines, a thing that only cuts. It gives you a sword of fire, a shield of light, a breastplate of peace, and a helmet of hope. These function when you use them in obedience. A sword of fire from your mouth, a simple declaration in faith, can sever the dark ties clinging to a person. When you raise the shield of light, destructive arrows dissolve. When you wear the breastplate of peace, the storm cannot uproot you. These are sacred instruments activated by a straight mind and a steadfast heart. But understand this clearly: the greatest battle most often takes place inside your own mind. The enemy rarely needs blunt swords and spears. It attacks with questions, with the aching pull of memory, with comparisons that numb, with subtle doubts that try to drag you back to the old ways. When that voice of contempt rises within, when old memories surge up to remind you of past failures, answer with a short, sharp spear: I know who has called my name. It is a single sentence, but when spoken in faith, it scatters the fog. That concise affirmation is the strategy whispered down to you from above. Do not busy your hands with long defenses. Use a very brief line to reclaim your place on the battlefield. Do not forget, the weaponry you hold must never be used for pride. The strength you feel is meant for service, not for show. The fiercer the flame burns, the more humility you need, so you are not burned by the fire itself. The louder the voice that rises through you, the more you must remember its source. Things only spark fully when you carry them in a heart of submission. If you use these gifts to adorn yourself, darkness will exploit them, cooling the fire, dulling the sword, and you will feel betrayed by the very gifts you were given. Humility does not diminish the value of the weapon. It makes that weapon more enduring and more precise. Let your heart embrace responsibility. Your arms are for self-defense, yes, but their deeper purpose is to open doors for others. A prayer of yours can break chains on a stranger's soul. Your declaration of blessing can pull grace down upon an entire household. A song you sing in the night can touch someone writhing in silence, unknown to anyone else. That is what terrifies the enemy, not merely that you rise, but that you rise to draw many with you. You will see it happen. The steps you place will make way for others. The words you speak will untangle knots long buried. So walk with wisdom. Every action of yours must be balanced with awareness. Wield power while never forgetting the one who gave it. When you feel the flame wanting to erupt, first ask yourself, whom am I using this to honor? When you feel your voice wanting to thunder, let it be released in service, not for applause. That rule keeps fire from becoming a consuming blaze and the sword from turning into a weapon of arrogance. I see ahead the days when you will stand in places no one expects, and by merely being there, the atmosphere will change. People will sense a strange warmth, not coming from you but from the one dwelling within you. They will look up puzzled, asking one another, what has happened to them? And you, with a humble smile, will speak in a tone like muted thunder. The Lord has remembered me. Not for praise, but so they may see that another power is at work. Then you will truly understand the weapons you bear are meant to open ways, to testify, to turn wastelands into pastures where hope springs up. Hold this as your guiding compass for every step. The greatest strength is not to never fall, but to know how to rise, to use each scar as a sign that the heart remains faithful. You were not chosen for perfection, but for fidelity. And because you have been faithful in the small things, heaven now places great weapons into your hands. Use them with humility and love, so that the light you carry not only illuminates your own path but also lights the way for many others to follow. Beloved, heaven invites you one step further. Step into the title, into the name that was etched in fire before you were born. It is not a badge for vanity, it is a responsibility, a favor, a lifetime office that enfolds you. When the throne assigns a name to you, it also hands you a map, the places you will pass through, the people you will meet, the wounds you will touch with gentle hands, the words that will fall like seasonable rain. To step into the title is to accept both glory and service, privilege and duty. It means you no longer live for yourself alone but live as a channel of grace for others. You may feel the weight pressing upon you as you think about this. You fear you will not be worthy, that the garment is too vast for your fragile frame. Yet listen well, the mantle is not given to the flawless, it is placed upon the faithful. It is your shortcomings, your moments of collapse, the nights you whispered, "Why me?" that form the very ground upon which heaven lays a responsibility able to alter the destiny of a lineage, a city, even a generation. Those who are chosen are always those who have endured the furnace of fire, so that when the crown is placed upon them they are not blinded by its brilliance but walk forward clothed in humility. When you step into this mantle you will face a daily test: how you manage your time, how you use your words, how you guard silence when it is needed, how you choose your priorities in life. The mantle is not an invitation to noise but a summons to depth. It demands that you train your mind as a warrior trains his body. Each morning as your eyes open it is a moment of discipline: how you set the tone for the day, the standard for your words and actions, the choice of whom you will serve. These ordinary decisions repeated day by day shape the person who is worthy of the name. Do not despise simplicity, waking early to keep a moment of silence, refusing a temptation to remain steadfast, uttering an apology when needed, all are signs of a soul learning to master the gift it carries. You will also learn to steward your calling, to turn the gift you have received into a channel of blessing. Sometimes your calling and your career will overlap. At other times they may not. Yet in every profession you can embody the mantle through diligence, by using your talents to serve others, by turning the place you stand into a small altar. When you labor not only for wages but as an offering to the one who called you, every hour of work becomes the raw material of a kingdom being built on earth. People will notice something unusual in the place where you work. There is less complaint, more kindness, less greed, more fairness. This is how the mantle spreads, without trumpet or parade. Along this path, you will encounter trials, without warning, opposition, misunderstanding, public failure. When they come, do not tremble. Every trial is an opportunity to strengthen integrity and to prove that the mantle is not bestowed by human hands but by God Himself. Keep your heart straight. If someone criticizes, let your silence and your deeds speak. If another tries to diminish your name, let love and faithful labor defend you. The called do not chase validation. They live so that validation chases them. You must also remember the responsibility of passing it on. The mantle does not end with you, it begins with legacy. Every act carries influence. Every word you speak may become seed for another generation. Think of your lineage, of those lives you will touch. Live so that when you are gone, your voice still echoes through the lives you have shaped. Legacy is not measured by wealth but by spirit, courage, faithfulness, mercy, justice. Teach the young how to walk the map heaven has given, not by endless words but by example that endures. Part of embracing the mantle is learning how to manage both yes and no. You will be invited to many things, but not every invitation comes from above. Learn to discern between the true call and the craving for applause. The true call often comes clothed in inner peace even amid hardship. The false one is wrapped in the shallow thunder of applause. Ask yourself, Does this build God's house or my own? If the answer leans toward others, it bears the mark of heaven. If it only feeds the ego, refuse with grace. You need to walk in partnership with others. A title is not meant to pull you out of community but to lead you deeper into a body. Heaven rarely works alone, instead he uses surrendered hearts joined together. Find those of one mind, seek elders from whom to learn, and find young ones to train. Build a circle not to isolate but to multiply. When you stand in a faithful group, your giftings are discovered and increase, and the endurance of the calling is secured. Finally, keep for yourself a living altar, a place within your heart always reserved for silence and encounter. Even amid busyness, preserve moments to hear the still small voice of heaven, to receive direction and to correct your course when needed. That altar is the source that nourishes the title. When the sun sets, answer one simple question: how did I live out the title today? Record it, review it, and make amends. That is the secret of endurance, not pride, not surrender, but careful persistence. My beloved, a title is not a crown to hide weakness. It is a belt that binds you to a responsibility greater than yourself. When you wear it with humility, it bends into a road for others to walk. Let each day you live be an answer to the call that sounded in heaven. As you do so, you will see glory is not merely dazzling light, but the platform for other feet to step upon, and that is the legacy heaven wishes to inscribe in the books. My beloved, after all you have heard and received, what heaven now waits for from you is no longer hesitation but action. For every revelation, every tear, every summons will be wasted if you only keep them inside without letting them become steps. Action need not begin with something grand. It starts from the smallest faithful choices. Every word of forgiveness, every moment of lifting your head in hope, every gentle word spoken in ordinary life, these become the bricks that build the path of light you are invited to walk. Do not think heaven seeks only spectacular deeds. What he waits for is an obedient heart expressed through simple gestures. When you choose silence in the face of an insult, that is action. When you decide to break free from an old habit that once bound you, that is action. When you dare to speak your faith even in a short sentence, that is action, and believe that those small things when added together have the power to change the whole current of a life, even of a generation. I see many around you waiting for that light from you, though they do not say it. Some will sense the change in you and quietly come near. Some will resist, mock, yet deep within they will be stirred by the fire you carry. Therefore, hesitate not. Do not wait until you feel strong enough or fully ready. Step out, even while your heart still trembles, for the power does not reside in your perfection but in the one who walks with you. He has placed the flaming sword in your hand, and you will only see it blaze when you begin to swing. Make each day a response. Do not let a day pass without an action that expresses your ascent to heaven. It may be a sincere prayer, a line written down, an outstretched hand to help, or simply perseverance standing firm through trial. Each of these is a mark showing you have not missed the moment to which you were called. When you live like that, all heaven rejoices, for they see the decision from the throne sealed by your very life. Remember, your action does not only open a way for you but for many others. When you forgive, you break the curse of bitterness in your lineage. When you choose love, you rewrite the story of a city. When you persist in faith, you hand on the legacy of belief to the next generation. You are the doorway not only for yourself but for those who have never known the way home. And that is why I weep with joy, because when you act, the balance in the unseen realm shifts and darkness loses its footing. So my beloved, do not wait any longer. The hour has come, the call has sounded, and now there is only one thing left to do: rise. Walk in the light you have received. Let every word you speak, every deed you do, every breath you draw become an offering of praise. And as you do, you will see that not only your life is transformed, but the whole universe leans in to listen, for a soul has answered heaven's call with tangible action. My beloved, after all you have heard and received, what heaven now waits for from you is no longer hesitation but action. Every revelation, every tear, every calling will be wasted if you hold it only in your heart without turning it into a step. Action does not have to begin with something grand, it begins with the smallest faithful choices. Every word of forgiveness, every moment of lifting your head in hope, every gentle word in ordinary life, these become the bricks that build the path of light to which you are invited. Do not imagine that heaven seeks only glorious deeds. What it awaits is an obedient heart expressed through simple gestures. When you choose silence in the face of insult, that is action. When you decide to break away from an old habit that once bound you, that is action. When you dare to speak your faith, even with a short sentence, that is action. And believe that those small things, when added together, have the power to change the course of a life and even the destiny of a generation. I see many around you who are waiting for that light from you, even if they do not say it aloud. Some will quietly sense the change in you and come near. Some will oppose and mock, yet deep within they will be stirred by the fire you carry. Therefore hesitate no more. Do not wait until you feel strong enough or fully ready. Step out while your heart still trembles, for strength does not lie in your perfection but in the one who goes with you. He has placed a flaming sword in your hand, and you will only see it blaze when you begin to swing it. Make each day your answer. Do not let a day pass without an action that affirms heaven. It may be a sincere prayer, a line written down, an offered hand to help, or simply the perseverance to stand firm amid trials. Each of these is a mark showing you did not miss the moment you were called. When you live this way, all heaven rejoices, for they see the decree from the throne being sealed by your very life. Remember, your action opens a way not only for yourself but for many others. When you forgive, you break the curse of bitterness in your lineage. When you choose love, you rewrite the story of a city. When you persist in faith, you bequeath a heritage of belief to the next generation. You are a door not only for yourself but for those who have never known the way home. And this is why I weep with joy, because when you act, the balance in the unseen realm shifts and darkness loses its place. So, my beloved, do not wait any longer. The hour has come, the call has sounded, and now there is only one thing left to do: rise. Walk in the light you have received. Let every word, every deed, every breath of yours become an offering. And as you do, you will see that not only your life is transformed, but the universe itself listens, for a soul has answered heaven's call with real action. Don't forget to hit follow and turn on notifications to receive the next heavenly messages, words sent specifically to you amid the clamor of the world. May the Father's blessing cover you, keep you in peace, and guide your steps along the path already appointed. Amen.